Hello, I'm Christine, and today we are discussing Sarah J. Maas's new novel, A Court of Silver Flames. It was so excellent. I don't know what I expected, but it wasn't to love it this exponential amount that I do. A Court of Silver Flames follows the A Court of Thorns and Roses series. It's a spin-off, but really it just feels like the continuation. It's called a spin-off because Nesta and Cassian are telling the story, but we're still there with Feyre and Rysand and all the people we know and love. So you do have to read the A Court of Thorns and Roses series. I cannot say the names of these books. I mixed them all up after this. I was trying to download A Court of Thorns and Roses on my Kindle, and I looked up A Court of Thorns and Ruin. I went into A Court of Silver Flames being like, I fucking hate Nesta Archeron. She's horrible. And then there was that novella that we got, A Court of Winter Solstice. That kind of preludes A Court of Silver Flames. It's just an upsetting story about Nesta being a bitch during winter solstice. I thought it was just going to be a bunch of smut, and then it was just sad. This book took us on such a fucking journey. We are with Nesta every step of the way. I love Sarah's books, and if you love Sarah's books, you loved A Court of Thorns and Roses series, you're going to love A Court of Silver Flames, even if you hate Nesta with a burning passion at the moment. Like, obviously, we all did. I don't know who went into this being like, oh yeah, Nesta's my favorite! No one did that, because she was terrible. We really get into her psyche in A Court of Silver Flames. I think it might be my favorite Sarah J. Maas book. I don't say that lightly. Queen of Shadows is my favorite Sarah J. Maas book, and A Court of Mist and Fury is my favorite Sarah J. Maas book, and Crescent City is my favorite Sarah J. Maas. Sorry, I have a lot. It's been so long since I finished a book, and I wanted to just read it again. That doesn't happen to me. Like, I could tell you the times that's happened. Twilight, Breaking Dawn, Deathly Hallows. Maybe The Host. And the last time I did read a book right after I read it was Red, White, and Royal Blue because I really enjoyed it. I read it again over audiobook over like a month-long time. It was not the same as like when I finished A Court of Silver Flames. I felt like, wait a minute, I needed more. I want to do that again. How did we get from this point to this point? There were moments where I had no idea how this was hitting me so hard. I would read the story of this ribbon and just crack into hysterics. We went on a journey with that fucking ribbon. There were so many moments like that where I just felt so much and related in all these different ways. All the sisters, there's so much sister stuff. There's so much stuff, you guys. A Court of Silver Flames was so good. I'm in a mourning period, like legit mourning period. I was reading this little by little in the shower every night for like the first 100 pages. And then shit starts to get real good. So you can't just read 10 pages in the shower and then 5 pages before your eyes fall closed at night. So then I got it on Kindle so that I could read it on my iPad in the morning at breakfast, and then also at lunch, and then also during my snacks, and then also just because I was just like, well, I can't stop reading this, so I'm just gonna be sitting on the couch. Sorry, work. We've got a new look for A Court of Silver Flames in comparison to the A Court of Thorns and Roses series. It didn't take me long to realize why we needed to rebrand A Court of Silver Flames. There is no way in hell we could market this as a YA novel. This is an adult book. They needed to switch to something that would look like it's on an adult shelf. Don't get me wrong, there's so much more to it than the smut, sexy scenes, but I have never read a book with more sexy, smutty scenes than A Court of Silver Flames. I thought I had read books with smut in them, but like apparently not. I mean, like nothing like this. There were times where I was just like, whoa, I thought this was gonna fade to black. I've just been programmed to think that these things are gonna fade to black. But like, no, we're there for the whole thing. Myself, a 30-year-old adult at times was like, whoa, whoa. Whoa! This is a new level of smut that I've never experienced. I can't not think about writing a scene like that, and I could not do it. How does Sarah do this? I just can't imagine, like, putting those words to paper. What a time it was, stepping into those scenes and being like, oh, this is not ending. Like, we're rolling. We're doing this. We are doing this. It is happening. Like, the whole time, like, it's still happening. We're still doing this. Just in every direction we go hard in A Court of Silver Flames, and I love it. I love it. But it is an adult novel. So like just know that going into it. I got so much more perspective and understanding on the world and how it works and on Cassian's background. I feel like I have to go reread A Court of Thorns and Roses, A Court of Mist and Fury with this knowledge. All that stuff that Cassian was telling us about his mom, I'm assuming we learned that, but I just don't remember it because I was so invested in Feyre and just like solely Feyre and Rise. I didn't feel like I had this understanding of the house, and maybe it's because Nesta has this special understanding of the house. This really made me feel like a part of their world. In the other books, I felt like I was with Feyre on her ride, but I wasn't like in her world with her. I just fell in love with everything. I fell in love with that fucking house. I want to live there. I want a house friend. What a magical thing to read about in a time where we're in quarantine. I'm starting to fall into talking about the book. You have to read the first 3 novels to read this novel. This novel is fucking worth it. I mean, the other 3 novels are fantastic too. This blew me away. The arcs of our characters, the depth of detail in their story, and the library and the fret and it's so good. I'm so excited to either read it again or read the next one or reread the Court of Thorns and Roses series. That is going to be it for my non-spoilery section. I think I rambled and gushed adequately. I think we're ready to jump into my fucking notes. Goodbye, non-spoilery folk. Bye! Okay. There's a lot going on in this book. I started taking notes once we hit the Dread Trove. So it looks like we're going towards an overarching storyline where we need to unite the Fey Realms to be able to stand against Koshi, who is this all-powerful dark sorcerer wizard that is stuck in a lake. He's very, very old, and he's the one who put the Swan Princess spell on Vasa, who was one of the human queens. She still turns into a swan at night. She's cursed. Koshi ends up working with Briarlyn, one of the queens that goes into the cauldron. She goes in right after Nesta. Nesta gets forced into the cauldron, and as a big fuck you to it taking her humanity away from her, she takes whatever she can away from it. What she takes are these death flames, this death power that shows itself in the form of silver cold flames, which is fitting for Nesta. In A Court of Wings and Ruin, we learn that the cauldron wants this power back. We talk a lot about Nesta being made and Elaine being made and made objects. I wasn't clear on exactly what that meant until now. So if it came out of the cauldron or the cauldron's power, this like raw bathtub that made the world, it's such deep ancient magic that it can almost do anything. So made objects are very, very powerful and very, very dangerous, making Nesta super dangerous. We did Nesta in A Court of Silver Flames. Are we going to start to include Elaine in the next novel? There's something going on with Elaine and Az. We saw it blooming in A Court of Wings and Ruin. We have to learn a little bit more about Elaine because she too is made. She too has these seer abilities that we like didn't look into at all. Has she been training with Az too? Is she going to train with them? I feel like she should train. Nesta has her chosen family now. I'm so happy for her. I got so excited when they started talking about exchanging books. I was like, oh my god, they're gonna have a book club. It's gonna be great. I got off topic. So the Dread Trove. Nesta is made, and other objects that are made right out of the cauldron are connected to her. Briarlyn was also made, but because Nesta took something from the cauldron right before that, the cauldron was like, fine, I'm gonna mess up this next bitch that comes in here. Briarlyn specifically wanted to be like young forever, and she came out like an old withered croon because the cauldron was mad at Nesta. So her whole motivation in this book is like, oh, I need my beauty back, and to do that, I need the cauldron again, and to do that, I need the Dread Trove. Koshi is easily able to use her as his pawn. He just wants to escape from his lake and maybe attain world domination or something. Who knows? That's what everybody wants. Briarlyn becomes his tool to attain these objects. That bitch doesn't get them, does she? The Dread Trove is a trifecta of cauldron-made objects the queen will use to track down the cauldron, because like calls to like. The Dread Trove consists of the crown, which when you're wearing it, you can mind control anyone around you. They have to be within a certain vicinity, but once they are, they're yours. Then we have the harp, which opens up any door. The harp is our key to Sarah's different universes colliding. I don't know when that's gonna happen, but we're setting up for it. Like there's 26 different universes, and the harp has 26 strings, and the last string can freeze time, and the first string can let you leap from here to like over there, and the second string can let you leap from like here to the next city, and it's crazy. crazy shit, and I'm gonna like literally just open a door to a different dimension, a different world. Like the word keys. We're seeing these different dimension opening tools, and each one of these worlds, the Crescent City world, the Throne of Glass world, and now we have it in A Court of Thorns and Roses. So it's just like a question of when. When are you gonna do it, Sarah? When are you gonna do it? What's gonna happen? There's little bits of my mind that are constantly like, did she hide something in one of the books? Was that God actually Nesta? Was like this, future this, in this book? My brain keeps trying to do that, and I'm just like, calm the fuck down. We are in a court of silver flames. I don't want to go there right now. Stay present with Nesta. Let's do some mind stilling. I just loved everything Nesta did in this novel. I love the steps. I love how those progressed. I love how it was just like her way to calm the fuck down and assess things from a logical perspective. If you took Christine real quick, if you don't remember, there's 10,000 steps from the House of Wind down to Valaris, the city. At the beginning of the novel, Nesta was harboring so much self-hatred. All she did was try to drown out all her feelings with alcohol and having sex with random strangers down in Valaris. She blew a giant amount of Feyre and Rysand's money one night, just like being extravagant and drinking, and that's when they had this intervention, and they told her, either train with Cassian up in the House of Wind, or we drop you in the human lands. There's no one out there for her over in the human lands anymore. So she picks to live in the House of Wind, and the only way to the House of Wind is to be winnowed up there and dropped off, or climb these 10,000 steps. It's hard to even properly be able to comprehend the amount of stepping you will do to get up and down 10,000 steps. She's basically stuck up there, and every time she is mad and she wants to leave, she starts going down these fucking steps. She makes it further and further every time, but by the time she's getting to 2,000 steps, getting to 3,000 steps, she's so much further in her journey. She doesn't want to just go down there and drink and fuck people. She wants to go down there for specific reasons, or she just wants to go down there to get down there, to be like, wow, I fucking did it, and I'm gonna go back up because I don't want to be down here. I want to be with the people I love. And it's just like, even things like the House of Wind and the River House and such, in the other books, I just was like, well, they're in a house. I'm not sure which one it is. I just didn't have a solid visual and solid understanding of the different houses. And also winnowing. Because we're from Feyre's point of view for the most part during the other series, I kind of just, even though I think I knew that not everyone could winnow, I just kind of was like, anyone can winnow. It's very cool getting a better understanding of that in A Court of Silver Flames, because our two leads can't winnow. Cassian can't winnow. He can fly, but flying takes much longer than winnowing, so they have to have Mor or Rhys come and winnow them, because Feyre can't, because Feyre's fucking pregnant! So at the end of A Court of Wings and Ruin, I believe we end with them flying and having sex in the clouds, and then there's like a hint that sex is going to create a baby. So Feyre's pregnant. We find out that her baby has wings. Cassian and Rhys are like, this is horrible, this is bad, and we're over here like, so why is this bad? Apparently, half Illyrian, half human babies don't often survive. Their mother and the child die during childbirth because, like, the birth canal, the hips of the mother, aren't wide enough for the wings to get through, so it gets stuck. And if they cut it out, they don't have our modern technology to do a proper C-section. It's a whole thing that we're scared about the whole time. When Nesta finally makes it down those steps, it's because she's furious at Armin for thinking the worst of her. Armin. I'm sorry, I say the names wrong. Cassian is teaching everyone how much work goes into making a weapon. It's a piece of art in itself. He takes Nesta to the blacksmith to watch him make a weapon, and then she's like, can I try? Can I hammer the sword? She hammers 3 swords. A plain one, a great sword, and a dagger, and makes her own fucking dread trove by accident. She's accidentally imbuing that maid magic into these swords, and this is so rare. Swords with magic, and the last one was like Gwendolyn or something, and Samsonite. I don't remember the names of the past swords, but like they're disappeared into history. And now Nesta has these super powerful swords. Her sword's name is like Atraxia or something, and it means inner peace. Armin says not to touch any of these swords because she doesn't know what the power is going to do. It could kill you, it could manipulate you, it can mess with your mind and such. But of course Nesta can touch the sword because she made them. Her sword can kill super immortal beings. Her sword kills this scary monster who almost murdered Cassian twice and
left him with a giant scar named Lanthius. Once she hits him with the sword, he's locked into a human form, and when she slices off his head again, he's dead. He's dead. Did anyone else think that journey felt reckless? Nesta accidentally skired while she was in church, while she was with the priestesses. To skyer, you need bones and stones. She has to skyer for the trove objects because they have to find the objects before Briarlyn finds the objects. So the first one that she skyers for, she does it with bones and stones, and she goes into this trance. Cassian is the only one that could bring her out of it because she's so powerful that none of their powers can pull her out, but Cassian's voice. No. Cut out Cassian's tongue. Cassian starts making out with Nesta in front of everyone while she's like this silver death god and lights pouring out of her eyes and she's not there. And he brings her back to herself when she skyers for the mask, and the mask is in this bog in the middle, in this like dangerous place where they drop all like the dangerous animals that aren't allowed to be in civilization. Then they just go to this bog and like Nesta's barely trained. Az and Cassian get attacked and they just like leave Nesta in this tree. And we all know that Nesta isn't going to just stay in this fucking tree. She's going to get down and she's going to almost die. She does get down. She almost dies. There's a Kelpie that drags her into the water and tries to sexually assault her. She summons the mask and puts it on and she becomes this dead person queen and destroys the Kelpie. Az and Cass have to leave her in a tree because Az is attacked by Baron's really great soldiers. We knew that his soldiers disappeared. I was like, that means that she already has the crown, you guys. Why is no one saying that? What's wrong with them? Why aren't they talking to us? Is it a spell? Why don't we jump to the obvious conclusion? It's the fucking crown. It takes them forever, and I'm standing here like, you guys, come on. Let's call a spade a spade. Oh, I was talking about the accidental skyring. So the first time was like with a mat, with people around, and Cassie has to make out with her to bring her back to herself. The second time, she's going to one of these church services that Gwen and the priestesses of the library go to. It's in like this stone cavern and she's on like a stone bench. The stone under her butt and their own bones allowed her to skyer. I thought when she was doing this, it meant that the harp was under the library. I was really theorizing that that darkness in the beginning that was calling to her, like calls to like, was one of the Dread Trove. As soon as we learned about the Dread Trove, I was like, why aren't you immediately suspicious of the library where like you are being called down to the pit? That just turned out to be the heart of the house. I'm all over the place. Nesta at the end of the book gives back most of the power that she stole from the cauldron in exchange for saving Feyre and the baby's life, and I'm thinking that she won't have as much power now, but she will have these objects that she made that are full of power, like Atraxia, Axaxia, what's it called? There's the steps. She runs down them because Armin doesn't want to tell Nesta that she has the power to imbue objects with her power because he doesn't trust her to not do something terrible with it. And leave this hint of Nesta not trusting herself with the objects because she's in this place where she just doesn't want to feel anything. It's kind of like in the Vampire Diaries when they just want to turn off their emotions and they have the power to do that. She has the power to do that by using these powerful objects. She doesn't want to succumb to it, so she wants it warded against her. But in the end, we find out that nothing can stop her from summoning these objects. I don't know now that they've like forged a connection with her because she retrieved them. Oh man, the end when she erupted into her silver flames and she just like destroyed Briarlyn to nothing was left except her fucking crown. And then she like put it on. She had the crown and the harp and the mask and she stopped time to save Feyre and I was fucking bawling. I was a mess. At the end, I was wondering while all this pregnancy stuff was going on and the birthing troubles, I was like, why isn't Cassian ever worried about this with Nesta? He knows she's his mate. So like, why isn't he even worried about how he can't have a family because the baby would murder Nesta? Did that not like click through his mind? Hasn't he thought about that? Because isn't he Illyrian? Doesn't he have Illyrian wings? I'm kind of confused. And at the end, I guess Nesta uses her maid power to change Feyre's uterus and also to change her own so she doesn't have that issue. But when we first found out about these wings, were you not like, why can't Feyre just change her cervix to match it right now? I think there's a risk to the baby. Isn't it worth the risk if the other risk is everyone dying? She made that Romeo and Juliet bargain at the end of A Court of Winds and Ruin. So if one dies, they all fucking die. I love at the end they reveal that and Armin's like, you guys are fucking idiots. That's the stupidest thing you've ever done. Why? die. I'm there like worrying that maybe we're going to a place where like they're all gonna die and Cassian and Nesta are gonna have to take up those power positions. Oh my god, I got so scared in the scene where the Illyrians came to steal them for the blood right. I started hysterically crying. I was like very, very worried that her friends were gonna be murdered. They have a sleepover and it's the best. And they like play with the house and it's almost like the house is invited to the sleepover too, you know, like they're all best friends. And it's so cute. It's so wonderful. It's almost like the house also got a friendship bracelet that night. I just love that Gwen came with the friendship bracelet. And I love that Nesta made the friendship bracelet so that they're beacons to find each other. I knew they were gonna do the blood right once they cleared the course. Oh my god. The tears when they did anything, when they worked together, when they decided to become Valkyries, and when Cassian talked about how big of a deal this is. It was so good. I knew they were gonna do the blood right once they got to that point, but it was a matter of like, they didn't want to do it, so how was that going to happen? And then they're just thrown into it. It's absolutely horrifying. As soon as they were thrown into it, I started crying because I was like, they're all gonna touch the mountain together. And it's gonna be just like that. When, oh my gosh, when Feyre gave Cassian that painting of them touching the mountain together, I started crying too. Again, like I didn't understand, or I guess I forgot. It's been a long time since I read Akamath. I forgot what the blood right entailed until Cassian told us the story from his point of view. And I think it must have been mentioned before, but like it didn't hit me as hard because I guess I care about Cassian more. Like Cassian is more lovable in a way than Rise. Rise is that like sexy, sultry, playful dude who's super powerful, and Cassian doesn't think as highly of himself, even though he's so great. You want to give him a hug. He's almost like an Emmett sort of character from Twilight. To hear all of this from him, the three of them touching it together, and the different levels of the blood right. Like if you make it to the mountain, you're this. If you touch it, you win and you're this. And I was like, oh my god, they're gonna touch the mountain together. They're gonna be the first three women. I really, really wish that Nesta was with them, but it also meant a great deal for her to hold the line. That, oh my god, the part when Feyre had that painting in the beginning when she went to their house and there was like portraits of everybody, but there was no portrait of Nesta. There were so many little things that were just so powerful and hit so hard. It hits even harder when you remember like they don't have pictures, they don't have photography. Cassian has nothing that represents that day, and now he has this moment that meant so much to him and his brothers and really forged them together as this power trio that they are now. So I was talking about the steps. Nesta goes down them when she's mad that Armin voted against telling her that she can make these objects. She storms into Armin's apartment while she's having sex with her boyfriend. Armin is always having sex with her boyfriend. I just feel like they're always on top of each other in every scene I ever see. That's the only impression of Armin I have from this book. Like she's wise and she's always having sex with her boyfriend. Nesta finally realizes she took Armin completely for granted. Feyre shows up. Nesta spills the beans about how Feyre is going to die if they don't figure out how to deliver her winged baby. I'm on Nesta's side here. I feel like Feyre should have known. I feel like we should have told her immediately. So she could try to just do a little altering down there. Just like widen stuff out. She has so many abilities. I don't know why Rise, being this very smart dude, never thought to himself, hey, there's a chance that my mate might have to give birth to a child with wings. Why don't I tell her right now that that's an issue? Please alter your cervix/hip so that that's possible. You would think that would go through their mind if it's such a big deal. I just kept being like, Rise, what are you thinking? Like, what you fucking doing? Why did you not alarm her way before this? What if Nesta had never known? She would have just gotten pregnant? Cassian has to say something. It should be written down somewhere. If you have sex with an Illyrian and you are not Illyrian, their baby will kill you. That's important. Let's touch upon the smut. There was so much sexual tension between Nesta and Cassian all the time. Like, you go from like one to the other and they're both masturbating in their beds to each other. And Nesta tells the house to like go away till dawn. Oh my god, I forgot Nesta and the house have like a romance book club together. It's grand. Oh, and that's part of why she's like, dang, if the house likes romance. It's gotten a whole show. I love when Cassian's wondering to himself, is the house like sentient? Because shit. Is it watching when I do things? We're sure as hell watching. We had these hints of something going on between Elaine and Azriel, and like Elaine really doesn't like Lucien, who is her mate. And then there's also this hint of Gwen and Az having something, maybe? I like that. I have a note in here that says the blood rite ritual is stupid. Because it is. That conversation about how traditional and closed-minded the Illyrians were just pissed me off so much. And learning more about Amory and how her wings were clipped and how abusive her father was. Just, I'm so glad that they all started training. And we got that first name, Gwen, on the sign-up sheet. When Amory was there in the morning and Cassian was all smiling and Nesta's like, what's going on? And Amory showed up because she took her up on her offer. I just love everything with the friendship in this book. I cheered up when Amory showed up. I was just like, this is happening. It's really happening. I love all their silly, fun, catch-up friend chats, like, while they're working out, and then Cassian yelling at them for talking, and they're like, you definitely had sex with him last night. It's so incredible how far Nesta comes from the beginning of this book, where she refused to even train. He has to make this bargain, like, if she trains with him for an hour, and it only takes an hour, he knew it was not going to take very long for her to see the benefit of this. In exchange, he will owe her a favor, whatever she wants. Then they make the bargain, and the tattoos appear, and I don't know if I forgot again, or if I just never really understood how the bargains worked. Like, I didn't know it was like an unbreakable vow. I didn't understand that until now. This book cleared up the lore for me in so many different ways, and I don't know if there was just so much at once in the other books in terms of like the background mythology that I was just focused in on our characters. With this, I felt like everything became clear. It was like putting on glasses when you're like slightly nearsighted and you just can't see the trees clearly. We're left at the end where Nesta doesn't give all her power back to the cauldron because the mother lets her keep some, and she owes the mother a favor now. We don't know what she's going to want. Very interesting and very vague. Oh my god, they're gonna have a really elaborate mating ceremony. I'm so excited. We've never gone to a wedding ceremony. I love how she's like, if you don't want that, you can have this biscuit right now. And Cassian's like, my options are old dry biscuit or very elaborate gaudy wedding. Yep, choose. I love how the house can warm the sheets for her. And I love how like she needs a bath and she's hot and tired. She can just walk into the bathroom and the hot bath is ready for her with all the fucking fixins. It's just such a dream. What a great house. What a great friend. It's almost like the house is like this mother figure in a way because it wants what's best for her. It's like this mom friend. Everyone has that mom friend, and for Nesta, that's the house. Oh, I love when Gwen teaches her about mind stealing. I love when they practice it for the first time together. When these women at the base of the Blood Rite Mountain were sharing their stories, especially Gwen. Gwen really, really got me. I was in cracking sobs. After that moment in Armin's apartment, when Nesta tells Feyre that her child and her are gonna die, Rysand tells Cassian to get her the fuck out of here, he's gonna kill her. And then Cassian takes Nesta and they go on this healing, needed hiking trip where Nesta like doesn't speak for 3 days. Cassian doesn't realize how deep the pain runs and how much Nesta doesn't like herself. She doesn't want to exist anymore. It's so sad. And there's this scene where she just hasn't drank any water. She just collapses. Sarah's so good at holding. And that's what makes the moments where her characters finally break through some sort of mental or physical barrier so much more powerful. Because she will hold and we will be with that character struggling. They'll make tiny bits of progress or things will get worse and worse and worse. She's not afraid to take that time with them before you get to that point and they break. Because you put in that time, that makes the scene when they do break all the more powerful. When she finally breaks down and tells Cassian about her father and about like the root of all this pain and the root of all this self-hatred, everything opens up for Cassian and he finally puts together all these different reactions she's had throughout the past year. It's so powerful. It wouldn't have felt like that if we hadn't dragged our feet up that fucking mountain with her for like, what, 5 days before that. Okay, let's get back on some sort of track here. Oh yeah, so Brylan literally wants to find the cauldron because she's vain as fuck. Because she doesn't want to look old. There's so much masturbating back and forth in oral sex and mouth fucking discussion. I feel like Gwen. Damn, I've never actually read smut till now. Yeah, that's accurate. It's an accurate note. We've come really far from that point in the book because I like just started to like accept it. But in the beginning, I was like, oh man, scandal, 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 scandalous. Oh my god, the scene with Nesta's cauldron nightmare. I got real freaked out. I thought that this was real because of the darkness in the library and then the darkness coming to get her. It was just a nightmare, but she was like exploding with fire. Rice was there trying to smother the fire with his night powers, but it wasn't working. And again, well, this was the first time that Cassian was the only person to be able to pull her out of it with his voice because they're mates. And the mate reveal was kind of done in a way that was very similar to Feyre and Rysand's. Like, he never told her that they were mates because he didn't want to ruin it. And I can't imagine it really being any other way with unsuspecting females. If they immediately know that they're mates, there's all this weird pressure. You can't really naturally form a relationship. I guess it felt like Nesta did know. There were different hints, but she was in denial about it. What a beautiful night, the winter solstice, when Azriel gave her that reading nightlight. So sweet. I was just so proud of Nesta in so many different scenes, like in so many different ways. Cass waits till she's in her room after the celebration so he can give her his present in private. He gave her this egg iPod that recorded all of the music and symphonies that were played during the winter solstice ball. Then Nesta's like, I can't accept this. Take it back. Take it back. For a second, I was really mad because I was like, no, 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 you're not doing this again. We're not doing this again. But then she breaks down and is finally honest with him. We can't not talk about the ball because that scene too just filled me with so much joy. Nesta dancing, I felt that so hard. The joy radiating out of her, the intensity of her focus and concentration, and how she just gave herself to the music. I was crying. I'm so glad that Cassian cut in eventually because it was so fun to have them dance together. Oh, we learned about this scary monster. I can't remember which monster it was. It's all smoky, and that monster bred with Fae and created a different line of Fae. Is Azriel descendant from that line of Fae? We don't go into it, and I feel like we need to explore that further. We need to explore Az and Elaine. They're just like loose ends. Don't get me started on this fucking crown. They tell Az not to go spying on her because once he's within range, she can control him. I was really worried that Moore had gotten crowned because she was gone for a while, and I was like, she feels like she's been gone for too long, and it's time to bring her back. But she's just been gone in Valhalla trying to get them to sign this treaty. This is the only part that really bothered me, that I just feel like I can't suspend my disbelief for this section where they go to rescue Eris from Queen Briarlyn after he was winnowed there. I'm very confused, but why the fuck they would go within distance of Briarlyn ever? Why is Eris worth it? Because if Eris has already gotten to the queen, then it's already fucking told her, whatever. So what does it matter that you go get him? If he's under the control of her, they're gonna be under the control of her. Like, I'm just standing here stomping my feet as they're like watching their palace. You guys could be in her range right fucking now. And then they start following and there's the image of Briarlyn like on the horse. Why do you think that she doesn't see you? Why are you guys being so fucking stupid? I don't understand. And Az is like, don't go in there. I'm like, why are you even here? We don't care about Eris. We don't care about Eris. If he's there, he's already gone. He's compromised. Like, I don't get it. Like, why would you risk your lives here when Nesta's in the blood right? You have to, I know they can't rescue Nesta, but still, I want them to be on call and not be mind controlled. I don't even understand why Rice sent them. He was like, you guys go do it. I can't do it. Even Cassian being like, you could do it in 5 seconds. I mean, like, could anyone do it in 5 seconds? Because fucking Briarlyn can control them. What are you guys thinking? You've been so cautious this whole time. And then just throw your best people out there to go get Eris is so stupid because they could be mind controlled. I don't understand it. I can't make sense of it. I can't. The whole time I was like, you guys are so fucking stupid. This is so fucking stupid. Why are you so fucking, you're so stupid. You're so stupid. Why are you so stupid? And Cassian does get mind controlled. I honestly don't even know how Az gets away because they were already playing with their mind with the whole image because you know, you were there. She like makes them see somebody wearing a hood and then like the hooded person is Koshi in the water and he was just using magic and Briarlyn was like over there. And we were cutting between that and like this really intense blood right scene where Nesta was holding the line in this pass to let Emery and Gwyneth get to the top and they're both so injured. Gwyneth is tied around Emery's back to get to the top of the mountain. I was like, can we not do the most idiotic thing I've ever heard right now, Cassian? Why are we here? Just leave. I thought that they would at least send them with one of her made weapons for protection because they gave one to fucking Eris. What did you give one to Cassian just like have on his back? We had the made object. We had it. Gotta let it go. Just gonna let it roll off. They got away. Az got away. Cass broke through the fucking crown spell. Did he? He almost did. Briarlyn ordered him to kill, and she was referring to Nesta, but he plunges the knife toward himself, but before he can stab himself, Nesta explodes into fire and does her whole thing where she like turns Briarlyn to ash. I love that when that's over, Cassian's lying on the ground and Nesta's like, oh no. And he turns over and he's like, thought it was best I lie low while you do that. I love the scene after the bog where Nesta's taking a bath and then she and Cassian finally have sex for the first time. It's super, super intense. They finally gave in and fucking did it. Oh gosh, another scene that really hit me was when Cassian finally gave Nesta a sword. She was practicing all the slashes and she just kept saying never again. From that point on, I was pretty much a faucet on and off as we went along. It looks like we might be working toward a world where Rysand is forced to take up the position of High King. There once was a High King before, and then they broke into all these different courts, and there's a lord of every court. He might have to become a conqueror to unite them against the force that is Koshi. Rysand does not want to do this. First of all, people gonna be mad. Second of all, that's a big, giant responsibility. But Amren says that all this stuff isn't just happening by accident. The cauldron is presenting you with the opportunity to take up this power, but it's not going to stay for long. It's only going to be so long before it presents that power to someone else. So if Rice doesn't take up this position, someone with bad intentions could receive the opportunity to take up that power position. It's almost like for the greater good, Rice might have to be High King because now the entire Dread Trove is in the hands of the Night Court and the new Dread Trove. I gotta touch on this harp scene in the prison. So this is the one that I thought was the most reckless. It was just like, okay, Cassian and Nesta are headed to the prison, la-di-da. And we knew something was gonna go wrong, especially after talking about all these monsters that Cassian put in the prison. And she's just like, oh, it's right back here near Lanthia's. You just walk through a wall and there's like this secret area where she can go into this room and grab the harp that's just sitting there. And when she goes into the room, it feels like she's walking through mud. And then when she grabs the harp, she sees these terrible memories of the harp sealing these people into the walls. I thought she was gonna get sealed into that room and not be able to get out, but she doesn't. She gets out of there by being like, undo these wards, not being specific enough. You're in a prison, Nesta. She gets out of there and the prison door to Lanthius' jail cell is open. I'm standing here. She's holding the harp like behind her back. Did you not bring a fucking pack to put the harp in? She brought Exaxtra, her great sword. She only has one hand for it because she's holding the fucking harp. I just don't understand. Why didn't you bring a bag to put the fucking, did no one think ahead of time? You didn't even bring a bag, okay? You just went to the prison with no plan, just like go get it and leave. You didn't even bring a bag. What if you had to fight? What's the point of the sword if you're holding a harp? I don't even understand. What the fuck were you thinking? You'd have to put that harp down to fight and anyone could grab the stupid harp. You stupid. It's like no one plans ahead of time for anything ever. And they choose that moment, like when she's holding the harp right before they see that the jail cell's open, to like say something sappy about friendship. She's like, Cassian, I think you might be my friend. And Cassian's like, I've always been your friend, Nesta. And she's about to say something else and open up when he realizes that jail cell was open. And I was like, you guys, come the fuck on. You're in the most dangerous area in the entire Night Court. And you just like talk about fucking friendship while you're holding one of the most dangerous objects in the fucking world. I don't even fucking understand what you do. Where is your thought process right now? And I'm also thinking like, how big is this fucking 26 string harp? The way she's holding it behind her back, I'm thinking like it's gotta be like a little, like 26 string. I don't know. I'm not an expert. It's not like one of those giant fucking harps. It's gotta be like, what, this big? Like how big is it? It's just like thing with the bathtub. The cauldron, I'm expecting it to be like giant dump truck size, but really it's the size of a fucking bathtub. It's just like a person can sit in it. This is the bathtub. This harp that could open all the things. It might be nice if it was giant because it'd be harder to move around. And I mean, not good for us, but like good for people trying to steal it because it's giant. But I guess you could just like pluck you know what? It's not worth going into. It's gotta be like this big. The harp is like this big. Mask is like this big. The crown is like this big. Yeah, it's like a little trio of small objects. What if the harp was like this big? And it was like, bing! It can fit in your pocket. Ataraxia. That's the name of the sword. I wrote it down. I was saying it wrong, I think. Pretty fairly sure. Sorry, Sarah. Yeah, my last note is when cuts the ribbon, emotions. And from this point on, I am a bloody snotty mess. I wasn't a bloody snotty mess. I was using like bloody hell, like British talk. The unparalleled character development throughout this novel was everything. It was just everything. And I feel like I touched on all the major things. I feel like I touched on all the big fake shit. We didn't really see much about Durian and Vasa. I thought Vasa was gonna be a big part of this, the Swan Princess, but she's kind of just been like, not even a side character, she's like way back there. She's like, go long character. The other end of the football field. Like, I see you down there, but I don't know really what's going on because you're too far away. We see a little bit of Tamlin. Oh, I love when Nesta threatens Tamlin. I love Nesta reprocessing everything that happened with Feyre and Tamlin and reprocessing how she thinks about Feyre and how Feyre has just shown her over and over again unconditional love. The keep reaching out your hand motif was beautiful and applied in so many different ways. Like, Amren passes that to Cassian about Nesta, and then Cassian passes it to Nesta about the priestesses in the library. I love everything. Okay, I could just go on and on and on and on and on and on and on. I love that she has this egg iPod now. I can't believe the egg iPod isn't like something that everyone has. Oh my god, I love how Cassian went back to the ball after everyone had left, like the next day, to ask the symphony to replay everything so that he could record it in the egg iPod. And he went to all the taverns to get that music. Like, how does everyone not have an egg iPod? How do you live without that? There's like no music other than egg iPod and live music. Why wouldn't everyone have an egg iPod? I'm so excited for more. Like, I never thought that I'd be more excited for this series than I was at the beginning of A Court of Thorns and Roses, but I definitely am. I didn't feel as attached to Feyre as I feel for Nesta. Like, she's gonna become this badass fucking Valkyrie, and she's gonna have a Valkyrie Legion. I'm so excited for that. She's gonna kick some major fucking ass. She already is kicking major ass. Major mental ass and major physical ass. Every ass is Nesta's. I love to hear your thoughts, your feelings, your favorite characters, your favorite scenes, everything. Share. I want to like relive and re-remember everything with you guys in the comments that I didn't talk about here. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Christine. I am also an author. My second novel, Better Together, comes out June 1st. Quick pitch. It's like The Parent Trap kind of meets Mean Girls. They're 18 and 21 instead of youths like in The Parent Trap. It's super fun. There's a lot of family stuff. There's also romance. We're not talking smut. I can't handle writing that. I'm not there yet. But there is romance because I love me romance. I'm at XTINEMAY on Twitter and Instagram. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Goodbye!